Co-occurring disorders, or COD, involve the simultaneous presence of both substance use and mental health issues in the same person. Once treated separately, the two conditions are now being handled together by providers who recognize the particular challenges and impacts of COD.
When I first started doing child protection, it was very siloed. There was chemical dependency, and you would go there and you would, get treated for your chemical dependency. But there would be depression, anxiety. They would be treated elsewhere, if at all. Now, when you go to a treatment facility, you're also going to have a psychological evaluation done, and there are going to be therapists there that you're going to work with.
So rather than reaching out to both a mental health provider and a substance use provider, reaching out to one provider, because there's some similarities that can really inform what steps the person with a co-occurring disorder has made towards recovery, and finding out what really works for that person and what doesn't, so that the recommendations they might make for the child welfare system can go hand in hand. And this is where having an integrated provider can really make the biggest difference.
After a co-occurring disorder has been identified, social workers can seek out the right resources to help support clients and to develop strategies for families impacted by COD.
It depends a lot on why the person is coming to you for care in the first place before you can determine how that path to recovery is going to look. Generally speaking, though, creating a welcoming environment, creating a relationship with that person, gaining a sense of how they perceive their own illness or their own set of circumstances allows the clinician then to develop a care plan that matches the client's motivation, matches their perception of what's wrong, and also is in line with clinical decisions around what would be helpful next.
A lot of times, the families that have co-occurring disorders are on the top of the list. They're the prioritized family because they have so much going on. Those are the families that we really need to spend the time on and really work extra hard to try to gain knowledge and understanding of what's going on within the family system.
We have to mean what we say and do what we say. If we say we're going to do something for them, we have to do those things, okay? If we say that we're going to be there for them, then we have to be there for them. Because if you lose their trust, you lose them.
Case consultation and case planning can both play a critical role in helping clients with COD recover and to move their family life in a positive direction. Regular case consultation with a supervisor and coworkers can help social workers process and receive neutral advice on cases. Engaging the client and their support network, including family members and key providers, is imperative during the case planning process and throughout the life of a case.
Case consultation is really important for us to be able to discuss all of the elements going on in the family because they're so complicated and chaotic at times. For us to be able to map out the family system, look at all of the complicating factors, and most importantly, look at the strengths of the family so that we can develop some goals that both the worker and the family feels comfortable with in moving forward.
Case planning is an opportunity for social workers and clients to evaluate and understand what might happen in times of crisis or relapse. Talking about early warning signs and triggers is important, as well as building an understanding of how the family can respond to triggering events. It's also an important time to support clients in making life changes that can help reduce problematic triggers.
It's important to look at triggers because those are the things that will cause a person to relapse. And usually they're just moments in time where they feel like they're going to use because of the situation that they're in. And so either it's, taking a step back and doing a 10-second breather. It might be calling your sponsor. It might be talking to your mom. If you can help them figure that out, whether it's role-playing or just kind of running it on a list with them, it's all helpful.
There's an increased likelihood that when a crisis comes up and everything else goes out the window, oh, I remember I did this a couple of times, and I know when I make that phone call that I have a few things that I can say. It gives a person more control in their treatment, and it gives them an opportunity when they notice or their loved ones notice that there may be signs or symptoms of a relapse, that there are actually things that they can do, things that really may lessen the severity of a relapse or avoid a relapse altogether.
Understanding triggers can help shape tangible plans for how to respond to relapses or other crisis situations. One of the outcomes of these discussions can be the creation of a family safety plan. The safety plan is a written document between the family and agency that includes potential dangers to a child and lists detailed steps and key people that can help the family during any moments where safety is an issue.
We would develop safety plans around both chemical use, who are their support systems, who can they talk to if they feel like using. And a lot of times clients might have depression, so you might be looking at a safety plan for, if they were ever having suicidal ideation and wanting to hurt themselves, so you'd also develop a safety plan around that area too.
A safety plan works if everyone's agreed to a safety plan. The family as a whole should be included in the safety plan. We want them to drive that. We want them to own that. What kind of safety nets can we put in place?
For both parents and children, role-playing can be a useful way to practice using a safety plan. Practice will make the plan familiar, provide opportunities to get comfortable with the process, and will increase the family's confidence in their ability to prevent, manage, and address crises that might occur.
If you write something down in the plan, then you should practice it with the person. Meaning, if they tell you that calling a friend or calling their mom helps them, then practice. Let's pretend that you are feeling down and sad. You're gonna call your mom up. What are you gonna say to her? What would you like to hear from her on the other end where you're going to feel supported?
It is important to have a clear understanding of the unique needs of each client and their family. Ensure that the client receives the adequate resources and support needed to meet the goals of the case plan and successfully move through recovery. This will ultimately ensure the safety of the child.
Both the courts and the child welfare system are public entities that are obligated to provide reasonable accommodations under the Americans with Disabilities Act. Like with case planning, figuring out what kind of an accommodation somebody might need is a very individualized inquiry. Really kind of look at the whole picture in terms of how the disability creates barriers to the reunification and ask oneself, are there things that we can do that will accommodate that disability and really make that reunification possible?
In the end, a successful case plan will support parents with COD in their recovery process and help increase their overall well-being. A parent's recovery will ultimately lead to increased safety and support for their children. The social worker and key providers involved should look for every opportunity to provide adequate resources and supports for clients with COD.